and welcome to tonight's edition of Your Property Empire. I'm Carrington Clark. Once again, the sustainability of growth in price of Australia's housing stock has been called into question. An article appeared in the Australian Financial Review last week, and it made waves. Headlined uncovering the big Aussie short. It reported that a hedge fund manager and an economist toured Western Sydney suburbs and uncovered what they called a huge Ponzi scheme. A situation eerily, as they put it, reminiscent of the situation apparent in Japan, Ireland and the US before their huge housing crashes. Their prognosis that Australian house prices could fall as much as 50%. So just how safe is investing in property? We're going to explore this topic during tonight's show. We're also going to look at Global Money Week. What is it, and should we be in on the action? And are we doing enough to financially educate our kids? Is it possible and wise for older Australians to access equity in their property? All those to be discussed through the next half an hour. Now, joining me on tonight's show is our Siobhan Hayden, CEO of MFAA. That's the Mortgage and Finance Association of Australia. Siobhan, thank you for joining me. Now, I wanted to deal with the elephant in the room, if you will. This dominated much of the property analysis last week. We had this original article from the AFO, as I mentioned in the introduction, an economist, hedge fund manager touring Western Sydney, kind of Thelma and Louise kind of exhibition throughout the West. They say that they've uncovered, first of all, and very obviously close to your heart, what they were describing as fraudulent behaviour through a lot of mortgage brokers.
Yes.
And also the major part of their analysis was that they said there were the makings of a huge Ponzi scheme, which could eventually lead to a situation like we have seen in the US, which set off the global financial crisis, as well as a situation in Ireland and Japan before they fell. Now, let's deal with the one that is most important to yourselves. These allegations that effectively mortgage brokers were encouraging them to put in false documents, or encouraging them to go to certain banks to actually get loans, and they were saying that this is where the problem will lie, people who just can't afford the mortgages that they're getting. What's your response?
Look, I think it's obviously a very severe allegation and serious. So, number one, we wanted to find out who Jonathan believes he engaged with, which we've not had any feedback on. Number two, it doesn't notionally stack up, because when an applicant is required to make an application to a lender, the broker is required to then capture all their supporting documents. So suggesting that you could put down you earn X dollars on an application form and that to just be happily accepted by a lender is simply not correct. So saying something and not having evidence of a group certificate, payslip, bank statements, all of those documents to help support that application is what a lender reviews and what a broker helps put together. So the information didn't kind of correlate, to be honest, and suggesting all 20 brokers sounded quite outlandish. So I'm happy to learn more and happy to be proven wrong if that is the case, but definitely it's not practice of brokers to behave in that manner.
What are the safety checks involved? Are these audited by an outside organisation? How do we know that the documents that are supposed to be handed over are real? And who is actually watching that?
So, look, it's numerous things, and this is the training of a finance or mortgage broker. When an applicant sits down, they not only have to verify that identification of the applicant, and that's done through standard identification processes. You have to do a face-to-face with most lenders. Your supporting documents, they're trained to look for certain things. So, my name's Siobhan Hayden. If it's on my driver's licence as Siobhan Hayden, my group certificate shouldn't say Hayden Siobhan, for instance. If someone earns an exact amount after tax, that generally looks a bit strange. So you normally have a full amount that you earn, and then tax deducted it comes out with a different amount. All the documents need to ratify what you earn monthly, should look at what goes into your bank account. And I'm not to say that there has never been a situation of all of those documents being created in a fraudulent manner. There probably has, but it's so rare and it would take such sophistication that it's just not 20 brokers in a small catchment of Western Sydney. It's notionally incorrect.
The concern would be if there is an incentive for the mortgage brokers, though, to want to encourage fraud. In that they want to see more people get mortgages because that's how they're remunerated, and therefore they're encouraged to do that. Is that fair?
Well, let's work on that notion. So a finance broker is remunerated by the settlement of a successful loan by the lender for doing all the work in helping that customer. If that loan is unable to be repaid, and that would be probably a direct assumption if you say you earn X but then you can't repay that loan would go into default. Not only would that broker no longer receive income, if it's anyway hindered in the first 2 years, they get all their money taken back off them.
Okay.
And not only, forget the remuneration alone, it would be directly in breach of their requirements under National Consumer Credit Protection, which puts their business... Pardon?
What would be the punishment?
They'd lose their business. They'd lose their money. They'd lose all their income. Not only their existing income, but any trail income that they had been receiving. So it's quite a serious allegation, and very, very few brokers, I would understand, would ever put everything that they have as a small business at risk.
But what we have seen, I can think of financial services scandals in the last few years where people have done just that. The uncoveries of what we saw at the Commonwealth Bank, the National Australia Bank, these were people acting in a certain way which was putting their livelihoods at risk, but they were willing to do it because of the remuneration system that was in place. And it ended up being quite... What I'm saying is we've seen in other parts of the financial services industry where when the remuneration is set up in a certain way that encourages or incentivises misappropriation, that it can become endemic to the industry. Are you certain that this hasn't presented a problem, especially in a market that's been rampaging ahead in the way it has?
Yeah, so their remuneration is structured to support the work they do, and it's all taken back off them, or they don't receive any if the loan goes into arrears. So if you fall behind in your payment, you cease earning any income. So it's absolutely to the contradictory notion of a broker to be motivated to put a notional consumer into a loan that they can't repay because they don't.
But a loan is better than
money.
no loan, right? Them getting a customer a loan is better than them not getting that customer any loan because they're not going to get any money at all from them.
Well, you wouldn't get any money if it goes into arrears.
Right.
You
but
get it all pulled
risk.
back.
But there's at least a risk that they won't go into arrears. Wouldn't that be the argument? That if
No,
you're
not really,
getting
because there's so many hours of work. You do 2 hours sitting in front of a customer, screening and understanding all their requirements. You then have hours of paperwork to put through, compliance documents. You then submit that to the lender for them to review and go through all those processes. That's quite a lot of hours of work to put something in that you think will then eventually fail. It's completely wasting your time. There are plenty of customers out there to provide a good service to. And our core customers, 40% of a broker's customers are investors, earning over 100,000. So quite financially literate customers knowing what they want to do and are simply asking for support to do that rather than go into a branch environment.
Let's talk about the issue that you did come on to discuss.
Happy
even though
to.
this one has distracted many people in the property industry, and I think it's an issue that's going to be alive for a little while yet. Talk us through the need to focus people's attention on the week that you're here to talk about. Why do we need to be? Are you bringing it into Australia? It's been going for a while. Is the idea that you want to focus people's mind on this particular topic?
Yeah, so Global Money Week is an annual international money awareness celebration in broad terms. Effectively, it's a social responsibility initiative to engage people that are 18 years and under, really about how money works. And I think it's a really great initiative. David Murray, in the Financial Services Inquiry report, highlighted specifically financial literacy being a major issue in the broader community. And I have over 12,000 customers, and so at my fingertips I have 12,000 financially literate professionals, and what better way to leverage that skill set than to ask them to provide an hour of their time in that 1 week between March 14 and March 20 to deploy financial literacy to children 18 years and under.
How illiterate are we? Why do we need to be doing this? I remember when I was young, I had a Dolomite account. That was the makings of people, starting to understand the idea of savings and spending. Are we still bad? Are we underperforming by global standards?
It's definitely a challenge in our economy. So the positives have a negative. So we haven't had a recession since the early 1990s.
Yeah.
Now, it's fantastic, but equally we've got 55% of the working population that have never been exposed to a recession.
Right.
Interest rates are inherently low. When I was 16, interest rates were 16.5%. My father had been out of work for 9 months. Now, I understand what that looks and feels like. You've got to sort of tighten the purse, but a lot of younger children haven't experienced that, or younger adults. There are statistics, 12 to 17-year-olds, a quarter of those already have some form of financial debt. Now, proportionally it's low, but for that age bracket, it can be the impact on their health and well-being can be quite significant. Things like phone plans. I mean, when you and I were younger, we didn't have phones. And people will say to you, I have a free handset. It's fantastic, top of the range. Well, in actual fact, it's a 2-year contract.
Yeah.
Do they understand
what are you locking
that?
yourself into?
Yeah, and then you're looking to move out of the home. You're not looking to get a mortgage, but you're looking to put down a bond on a rental property, probably buy some white goods. These may also get you into financial contracts or furnish your home for free, interest-free for 5 years. What are we actually paying, and do we understand those contracts?
And when does this all kick off, just quickly?
On the 14th of March to the 20th of March, the website globalmoneyweek.mfaa.com.au provides you with all the resources, either as a broker to participate or a customer, a community group that would like to register after their interest.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, we are going to change topic now, and we're going to have a look at the properties of the week. Joining us now from our Sydney studio is Nathan Gallagher, Head of Real Estate Advertising for New South Wales at News Corp. Nathan, what have you got for us today?
We've got a couple of properties for you today. Property number one is in New South Wales, and this is marketed by Michael Harris from Rain and Horn, Newtown. This is number 19 Bishopgate Street in Newtown, and this is a heartstrings type of home. It's the classic cottage property, that white picket fence, the timber veranda, the gabled roof. But as you sort of go through the home, it's renovated throughout. Gas kitchen, the huge main bedroom, and the floor plan, as you probably see with the photos that are coming up now, it throws perfectly through to that rear yard. The level grassed area, but what is unique about this property is that it's on a double fronted block, so 168 or 169 square metres of land. It probably doesn't sound like a lot, but in Newtown, this is as good as a quarter-acre block, and it's in a location where your footsteps to Memorial Park, the RPA Hospital's not far away, Sydney Uni's not far away, and all those amenities that King Street has to offer, the cafes, the restaurants, the train station, all easy walking distance. It's got a price guide of $1.25 million, and it goes to auction on Saturday the 19th at 12:45 on site with Michael Harris from Rain and Horn, Newtown.
Fantastic. And property two?
Property two is, we go into South Australia for this one. This is number 77 Church Terrace in Walkerville, South Australia, brought to the market by Judy Morris from Clements Real Estate. And this is a stunning architectural home on what is an incredible parcel of land, 2,051 square metres of land. A classic Victorian home, but it's been renovated throughout, wow. It's been modernised throughout, and everything is there. All the things you would come to expect are in the property. Your ducted air, the cellar, 12-foot ceilings. You go outside, you've got a tennis court, parking for 4 cars. And but I think it's the privacy that symbolises this property. The owners there, they've had 18th birthdays, 21st birthdays with 150 people, and all in a private setting. So this property has offers closing on the 22nd of March, Tuesday the 22nd of March at 12 noon. Similar properties in this sort of calibre selling north of $4 million, and this is brought to the market by Judy Morris from Clements Real Estate.
Quite the grand estate there. Nathan, there seems to be this growing trend, we've been talking about it for a while, about agents and web, about the fact that buyers are really interested in the catchment areas, school catchment areas when they're buying a property. What are we seeing from agents and web portals now trying to use that to their advantage when they're trying to market a property?
Yeah, it's absolutely become almost mainstream now that the marketing, the promotion of property is linking to these catchment areas. And if you think about it from an investor's point of view, if you want a heartstrings buyer or an emotional buyer, then there's no greater leverage in terms of emotion than making sure that you're purchasing a property in an area that's going to give your children the best head start in terms of education. So if you're looking to buy a property and you're thinking about location and area, these catchment areas are certainly becoming part of the dialogue and part of the marketing collateral. And without doubt, it's making the difference. You can pick up a property in one area that's in the catchment area and put it against another one who's out, and there could be a massive differential on price. So be wary for investors and making sure you're getting in the right area.
Fantastic, Nathan. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Now we are going to take a quick, short break, but much more to come after the break.